Hey everyone, my name is Christy and we'll be going over problem number 3 from the spring 2022 find. What would Python do? So for this question, we're given expressions below and we want to write the output displayed by the Python interpreter when the expression is evaluated. And the output may have multiple lines, and if an error occurs, write error, and if a function is returned, write function. So first thing we should do is to just take a quick skim over the code that we're given just to have like a brief sense of what's happening. So we notice, okay, the first line is like f1, the variable f1 is assigned to lambda x, lambda y, and then that expression. And let's just have a quick jog or memory of like what lambda functions do. So lambda functions always return something. So in this one, we see, okay, lambda x right here, it takes an if of x and returns like this entire lambda function here. Okay, now we see there's another function called f2, and it takes in the variable link, and there's also a variable index equal to 0 there, and a while loop that does this stuff here if that condition is true. And then finally we see, okay, there's a messenger account class and total accounts global variable, and this is the constructor here, and 3 more functions right here. So send message, receive message, and read message. Okay, so now we have a quick understanding of what this code does. So we can take a look at the first part of the question. So we want to find the output when we call the expression f1 given the parameters 4 and 3. So let's first find the f1 method, and oh, it's the first line right here. Or not the method, but like the f1 variable, and when you call, like add those, when you call it using those parameters. So we see that f1 is assigned to like a lambda function x, and that returns lambda function y. So if we look, the 4 corresponds to the x variable, and the 3 corresponds to the y variable here. So now we can just evaluate the expression x times x plus y times y. So that would be 4 times 4 plus 3 times 3. So 4 times 4 is 16, plus 3 times 3 is 9. That equals 25. So our output should just be 25. Okay, cool. Now we can move on to part B of this question. So we're calling the method f2 and we're passing in this link. So that notation is a bit wordy, so I'm going to simplify it by just writing it like this. Course. And that has a link to koala. And that has a link to puppy. And then eel. And let's remember, like, there's like an arbitrary like null node after here, but we don't really write that. So, but we know like that's what is at the end of this link. So, oops. Okay, so we're calling the f2 method on this link. So let's look at f2. So we see that there is a variable called idx right here, and then a while loop right here. And that while loop occurs when link is like not empty. So right now, link is assigned to this. So I have a hard time memorizing like all the stuff that happens in loops, so I'm going to write it down. So, okay, first, we know the variable idx is equal to 0, while link is not an empty link. So, okay, clearly it's not empty, right? Because we have like this entire, all this stuff right here. So we want to print out link dot first at index idx. So link dot first, if you recall, this is the dot first part, and dot rest corresponds to like all of this stuff right here. So we look at the link dot first, and that's here, and it says to index at idx. So idx is currently equal to 0. So that would be it corresponds to the stuff in the string. So based on this, we should only be taking like the character h. So our output is just going to be h. And now we have to update idx by 1. So we're going to change that to 1. And link is equal to link.rest. And now this means, okay, or technically we don't erase. Okay, we update the link pointer to just that. Okay, sounds good. I'm just gonna erase the rest of this to make it a little bit neater. Okay. Now let's do our check again. If link is not equal to an empty list, okay, it's not equal to an empty list, so we can keep going. So print link dot first at index, and so this is the first, and this stuff right here is rest. Okay, so let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. So at index 1, so that corresponds to the character O. So let's add that on, and then we update IDX by 1, and then let's update link. Okay, and let's keep it going. Is link equal to empty list? Nope. So we print out dot first. So first, and then at index 2. So that's 0, 1, 2. That corresponds to P. We update index one more time, and then we update the link. Okay, so we check if the link is empty. Still not empty. We print the first item. So now this is first. And it says to print out at the character at index 3. So we see that we have positions 1, 0, 1, 2. There's no third position, right? Nothing exists there. Therefore, we would print out error. And then we update index again. And then link. Remember how there's like there's like a null node after this one? We just don't write it. So now this means link points to null. So this condition is met, so the function is stopped. The while loop is stopped, causing the function to stop. So our output would just be HOP error. Okay, now let's move on to part C. So we see we have variables chi, and this is the chi is created is assigned to a messenger account object, and Lucas is also assigned to a messenger account object. And we want to see what is outputted when we call lucas.total accounts. So let's find like the constructor for messenger account. So this part right here is a constructor. We see that when a messenger account object is created, we have like the owner, instance variable, notification, inbox, and messenger account dot total accounts plus equals 1. So total accounts corresponds to this right here, and this is a global variable. So it's the same for every single messenger account object that's created. Therefore, when the messenger account chi is created, this increases by 1. So this is equal to 1 after the chi account is created, and Lucas account is created right after that. So this increases to 2. And we want to see what happens when Lucas.total accounts is called. And since total count is like a global variable, it's the same for every single messenger account. So that would be our output, just 2. Okay, moving on to part D. So Lucas, he uses the .send message function, and he sends a message to Chi with the message, check out my YouTube account. And then his second message is like and sub with a smiley face. And then we want to see what's called, what's outputted when we call chi.read message. So let's take a brief look at the .send message function, which is right here. And we see that, okay, the recipient, okay, let me just write down the function here so it's a little bit, actually no. Okay, maybe I'll just like zoom out my screen so I can fit everything there. again. Okay, so the recipient here, okay, sender, Lucas. Okay, I just spelled that wrong, oops. Chi. Okay, so he sends Chi the message, check out my YouTube account. So in the send message function, we see that, okay, it also calls the receive message function. And the receive message function is right below. And when we call receive message, self.notification plus 1. Okay. The recipient is Chi, so her notifications is equal to 1 now because Lucas just sent her a message. And her inbox, it has it added on a new message to it. And inbox corresponds to an array. So we have the message. I'm just going to abbreviate by check out. Okay, cool. So Lucas sends one more message. So her notification account increases by 1. So now it's 2. And we have to add on another thing in her inbox array. So Lucas's second message is like and sub. So like and sub. And that's her inbox. Now we want to call chi.read message. So the read message right here, we loop through for blank and range length self.inbox. So we see her inbox currently has 2 items, right? The checkout message and the link like and sub. So we loop, this corresponds to 2. So we loop 2 times. Then we see, okay, there's another variable message and it's equal to self.inbox.pop. So .pop returns like the item that was like, it returns the item that was like last inputted. So last item for here was like and sub. So we would pop up this message right there. And it says, okay, let's print out from, okay, I'm just gonna write that right here. It says that to print from message 0. So what does message 0 correspond to? I thought this part was here. So it turns out, okay, so message is equal to self.inbox.pop. And if we look back when when we appended like stuff into her inbox, it appends like the sender and the message. So technically at this item, it should also have like Lucas attached to it and then checkout. Same with this one. So my bad on the notation. I forgot to add that. But yeah, so message 0 would correspond to this part, and the message 1 would correspond to this part. So the output should be from Lucas. And then the colon. Message 1 is the check out. Blah, blah. I'm just going to abbreviate it because no room right here. And then now we loop one more time in the for loop. So now the message is equal to self. Okay, I also forgot to mention when you dot pop something, like it gets like erased from whatever data structure you were at. So since we pop that one, like we're popping it off, we're removing it. Now our inbox is just this part. So our message is the checkout one, and it's from Lucas. So message 0 corresponds to Lucas. So our output is it's going to be Lucas, and then it's a check out. Yeah. So we notice that when we're calling print, not print line. So print just prints, it keeps printing on from whatever you were last printing from. So our last printed message was like, from Lucas, check out my YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. And since we're calling the print function, it keeps printing out on the same line. So our final output should be from Lucas Oh, oops. My bad. I completely forgot. I don't know why I wrote checkout. So it was supposed to be like, man. Yeah, sorry about that. And then out more YouTube channel. And yep, that should be the final output. Okay, finally, last part of this question, part E. Okay, so using the Qi messenger account, we want to call send message. So, and then we want to print out Lucas.notification, Qi.notification. Send message, let's find where send message is. Send message is right here. So let's look over here. And it says when the recipient receive, it calls like the receive message function. The receive message function is right below here. And then basically the gist of received message is like the person who receives the message, their notification variable, like that increases by 1, and then that message is added to their inbox. So I forgot to note this while doing part like D, but when this happened, when Lucas sent messages to Chi, like she received two messages. She from based on like these two lines right here, Chi's notifications. Her notification variable is equal to 2 because Lucas sent her 2 messages, right? But now she sent Lucas 1 message. So Lucas's notifications is equal to 1 because she sent him 1 message. And now we want to print out Lucas.notification and Chi.notification. And that notification variable corresponds to like the instance variable here when we created the messenger account object. So Lucas has 1 notification from Chi, and then Chi has 2 notifications from Lucas. Remember, because even though we read like the messages from like part D, we never like if we looked at the code, like it doesn't decrease like it doesn't decrease the notification variable in any aspect, so it always stays the same. Therefore, Chi.notification is still 2. Okay, we're finally done with the problem. Hopefully that helped. Good luck on studying.